Welcome back to another Python Turtle tutorial. In today's video, we'll be attempting to make this pattern on the screen. And while this may seem difficult, it may be surprising to know that the only shape that I use to make this is a circle. And all I do with this circle is rotate it around the screen. Okay, let's go ahead and see how we can make this interesting pattern by just using a circle. So to get started with this Python project, the first thing we're going to do is open up a blank Python file. After you do that, since we're working with Python turtles, what we have to do first is say import turtle as t. The next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and make a circle. To make a circle in Python turtles, all you have to do is say t.circle. And then inside the parentheses will be the radius of the circle, which is the middle point of the circle all the way to the edge of the circle. Let's go and start by making a circle with a radius of 100. Okay, so we have a circle with a radius of 100. Let's go ahead and try to make the circle a little bit larger by increasing the radius. So instead of 100, let's go ahead and try 200. Okay, and I see I have a circle that is much larger than the last one. If I want a smaller circle, then I would choose a smaller radius. So instead of 200, let's go ahead and just do 25. Okay, and I see I have a much smaller circle now. The next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and make the lines a little bit thicker. So we're going to do that by changing the pen size. So I'm just going to drop down a couple lines and say t.pen size. Let's go ahead and start with 10. Okay, that makes a circle with thicker lines. I think that's probably a little bit too thick, so let's go ahead and try a smaller number. So instead of 10, let's go ahead and just do 5. Alright, that's looking better. Let's go ahead and add some color into our program now. To do that, we're going to say t.color. So I'm going to say t.color. And then whatever color we want to do, we just have to put it inside of quotation marks since it's a string. So I'm going to choose the color green, so I'm going to do quotation mark, then my color, and then a closing quotation mark. Let's go ahead and run the program and see how this looks. Okay, good. I have a green circle now. So since we have the circle part down, let's go ahead and work on how we're going to rotate the circle around the screen. So after it draws the first circle, let's have it rotate a little bit to the right. So I'm going to say t.right. And then inside of here will be an angle measure. We can choose whatever we want to for now. Let's go ahead and choose 19. And then after it turns to the right, let's have it draw another circle. Okay, let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. So I have one circle being drawn, it rotates a little bit to the right, and then draws another circle. So I could just go back here and copy and paste this a bunch of times, but there's a better way we can do this with a for loop. So what I'm going to do is delete this last line, and then right up here I'm going to say for I in range, and then this will be the number of times we repeat it. So let's go ahead and start by just repeating it. Let's do 15 times. After that, I need a colon, and then I need to indent my code down here. So I'm going to highlight it and press the tab key. So now it's going to repeat these two lines of code 15 times. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so it should be drawing 15 circles on the screen. And the next thing we're going to do is increase the speed so it's a little bit faster, but we'll just go ahead and let this one finish for now. Alright, should be getting close to done. Alright, so it's finished. So let's go back and quickly learn how to increase the speed of our drawing. So I'm going to go to the top and drop down a few lines. And to increase the speed that the object draws, you can say t.speed. And then the maximum speed is 100. And if I run this program again, then it'll draw the circles quite a bit faster. There, and it's already done. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and add more rotations to this. So instead of 15 times, let's have it do it 45 times. Okay, very good. If I increase the number of rotations, so let's, instead of 45, let's do 90. Okay, the more rotations I do, the thicker the lines become. And the nice thing about this angle of 19 right here, every time it goes through one rotation, so one complete circle, it overlaps the previous line by just a little bit, which gives it the effect of every time it runs through that rotation, it makes it look like it's increasing the thickness of the lines. So what we can do at this point is let's go ahead and change to a different background color. So I'm going to say at the top here, t.bg, which stands for background, and then color, and I'm going to make mine black. Okay, so this is how it looks with a black background. Okay, let's go back to the code and let's increase the rotations again. So instead of 90, let's have it do 180. And I hope you can see every time it goes through that rotation, so going from top to bottom to top, it increases the thickness of the lines. So as it goes more and more around, you'll see that these holes are getting smaller. If I do something like an even larger number, let's try 360. Let's take a look and see how this turns out. Okay, and the holes are getting smaller and smaller. So if at some point that you like the way it looks, you can just stop it at that point and do that many rotations. So if you like it more filled in, you would choose a higher number. And if you like it with more space in between the green lines, then you can choose a smaller number. And I see here, if I choose 360, then it goes around enough times that it just makes it a green circle. So this isn't very interesting, so you probably want to stay under 360 for the number of times it spins around. Going back to the code, let's go ahead and try a few different things. So instead of just green circles each time, let's go ahead and change the color of the circles. To do that, I'm going to start by going under my for loop, and I'm going to say r is equal to rand int between 0 and 250. I'm sorry, between 0 and 255. And to be able to use this rand int function, I need to go up to the top and say import random, from random import rand int, just like that. Going down below here again, I'm going to say b is equal to the same thing from 0 to 255. And then green is the same thing once again from 0 to 255. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is say t.colorMode. And this is going to be equal to 255. And then t.penColor is going to be equal to my R, G, and then B. Alright, so what I'm doing at this point is I'm making 3 different variables. One for the color red. So it's going to choose a number between 0 and 255 and use that as my red color value. It's going to choose a random color, not a random color, but a random number between 0 and 255 for my blue value. And then the same thing for the green value, and it'll be mixing these 3 different colors. So if it worked out where it had 255 for red, 0 for green, and 0 for blue, then it would just be the color red. If I had 255 0 for green, and 255 for blue, then it would be mixing the red and blue color to get purple. Okay, let's go ahead, and at the very top, we don't need this line anymore. So you can either delete the line, or you can just put a number sign in front of it, which makes it a comment, and whenever we run the code, it won't actually run this piece of code. So let's go ahead and try this out and see what it looks like now. Alright, so now each circle is a different color. So this looks kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and sit here and watch what it does for a little bit. Alright, and I think I left it at 360, so let's go ahead and cut it off here. And let's change this back to just 90. Okay, so that's what it looks like with different colored circles. There's a lot you can do to play around with this, so some things that you can do to change this. You can obviously change the number of circles that it produces by changing the number here. You can play around with the angle right here, so instead of 19 you can choose different numbers and see what effect that has. You can experiment with different pen sizes and also different colors for your circles. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next one.